Alright, here's the dash cam. I got the full kit. So it came with the dash cam, the hardwire kit, and then just got a 128 gig card there. So I'm going to install this. First thing you do really is you just get the kit here and open up all the contents. Alright, contents are opened. Got the camera, some clips, some tools to help you install. You get this with the kit, which is the car charger, but we got the hardwire kit, so that's gone. The first step really is just to clean the windshield. So I'm going to put mine right behind my rear view mirror there, so you can kind of see it's going to be hidden behind the mirror. But what you'll want to do is clean the area that you're going to put it on. So go ahead and clean that area really well. Second step is you're going to put this little, what do they call it, like a electrostatic film. You put the electrostatic film on the windshield, so we'll go ahead and do that. And it would be good to mention that before you guys put the electrostatic film on, you'll probably just want to put the camera up to where you want it, right? So you know where to stick the film. So the camera, you want to put the mount towards the right, because the way the LCD screen reads is that if you mount it just like this, it would be right side up. If you mount it like this, however, it'd be upside down. So you'll want to mount like this, probably towards the middle, right? So I'll just probably end up sticking it to where the camera itself is in the middle of the car. So I'll probably mount it something like right there. So I'll go ahead and stick the film on to actually make that happen. Alright, so I got the electrostatic on the windshield here, and then after that we just mount the camera onto the electrostatic film. So I'll go ahead and peel this off to where only the black part shows, the white part comes off, and we'll put that on the electrostatic film. Alright, there she is mounted on the windshield. You can throw your SD card in and all that good stuff. We're going to start to, this is pretty much done with the camera here. We're going to start to do the hardwire kit after that. So I'll probably throw the SD card in here really quick. You just squeeze it right in there. And then for you guys that don't know about these cards, the small ones for the camera and the large ones so you can plug it into your computer to read it. But you don't actually need a computer to read the SD card. You can just use the app. Works just fine. So next, we're going to do the hardwire kit. Cool. Some things I did notice too about the camera. They were talking about basically you need Wi-Fi, right, to connect to it. Works just fine. Some things that I thought when I first bought it is that I would have to have my phone connected to it always to actually make it work, and that is not true. It records regardless of whether something's connected to it or not. So really the only time you would ever really connect to it is for the initial install to format it, and then secondly you would just connect to it if you want to ever pull the footage. Otherwise it just stays up there doing its own thing. You don't have to connect to it every time you get in the car. It's fine, it's ready to go, it works on its own accord. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to throw the SD card in, and then we'll go through what to do with the actual with the wire kit. Alright, SD card's in. Next is the hardwire kit. So there's a lot of stuff in this hardwire kit. I did buy it as a bundle, right? So it just suggested the bundle on Amazon for the hardwire and the RA-Phase dash cam. You're not going to use everything in this kit, but you will use some of it, right? So you're going to take out this first. This is your main cable that's going to connect into the dash cam. So this is the first thing you want to take out. And we're going to want to work on starting with this end, which is the end that connects to the dash cam. So what my goal here is I'm going to plug that into the dash cam, right? And I'm going to run it up through here, up in the dash. I'm just going to literally just grab the wire here, and I'm going to tuck it underneath that. I'm going to tuck it underneath there, and I'm going to continue tucking until I get to here. I'm going to force the wire underneath this plastic piece by wedging it out of the way with the tool they gave me. And then I'm going to run the wire down here. It's going to continue underneath inside this little seal here until it gets to right here, and then I'm just going to run it right underneath to the fuse box here. So most fuse boxes are by your gas pedals, right? You do have multiple fuse boxes on your car, but this is the one you're going to want to reference for this project. So here's the fuse box. You would just pull it right off. Okay, a lot of fuse boxes you don't even have to pull out the owner's manual for, because it tells you where the fuses are on the back here. So we'll be able to use the fuses that we want, and we can talk about that in a little bit. But right here is where I'm going to stop talking about the fuses, because our initial project is to hook this into the camera and run it up where I just showed you guys. So that's what I'm going to do next, and we'll start from there. Alright, so we got step one here, plug it in. So I've plugged it in there to the side. And then step two, we're going to run it up to the dash. To the top of the roof here. So you can see I've started it. I just jammed it back inside the roof there. Okay. I forced it with my fingers. So I've just pushed it through here. And then as you can see, I'm just continually going to do that with my fingers into the route that I just showed you guys. So we're going to do that next. Alright, so this is the part that gets probably the most tough part, is actually just getting it inside this plastic. So this tool came with the kit, right? You're just going to jam the tool in this plastic underneath, and then you just pry it up a little bit. It's enough to fit the wire in, and then you just force the wire through it. So these plastic pieces are meant to be popped off, so don't worry too much about it. But I jammed it in there and then pry it open to put the wire in, and we'll move from there. Alright, so I've managed to get the wire in from up there. You can see it's tucked in underneath, nice and tight. And then we're going to open this up here. And you're just going to squeeze the wire in there. I wish I could get a nice... it's kind of dark, but you're going to open it up all the way and then push the wire in. And you'll just kind of feed it with your thumb all the way down. Alright, so you'll notice that when you get down to this part here, this guy is just tucked underneath behind here. So these things are really just meant to you literally just grab them and pull them right off. It's really easy. And then you can squeeze the wire in without having to worry about how you're going to get it in behind there, because it's tucked behind the dash a little bit. So just pull it out and then push it back in. Super easy. Alright, so it's clipped back in. You cannot see the wire. It's behind there. It comes down in here, and then it comes out at the bottom here. This is where we just wrap it back up into the fuse box from behind. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab this guy here. I'm going to run him along and tuck him inside here. And I'm going to tuck it behind where the fuse box is. My little finger's back there. Yeah, you can't really see it, but you can see my finger wiggling. So I actually have access to the back of the fuse box from inside, right? Because that's the back of the fuse box right there. So we're just going to tuck the wire into the fuse box so we can actually plug it into these guys. Alright, there's the wire tucked. I went ahead and zip tied it because it's kind of tucked behind the end there. I want it clean, so zip ties are your friends. And then it comes into the fuse box where that little guy is kind of sitting on the side here. I mean, get creative if you want. Zip tie it, move it to the side, tuck it in behind, doesn't really matter. You can put it anywhere. I'll probably just leave it to the side there. And then I've got this. So this is where, you know, probably the hard part for most people is that we've got to hook these up to the fuse box. So we'll go ahead and talk about that. This is pretty much the last part, right? So before we get into this, the reason you're going to want to do this is that you wouldn't have like a wire hanging down and coming into your little port here. So that'd be pretty ugly, pretty messy, just draping down your car. So the benefit of this hard wire is, one, it turns on when the car turns on, which would happen anyway. Two, you could connect it to a hot fuse, which we'll talk about, which will then have 24-hour parking mode and whatnot. So that comes off by default, but you can turn it on. And then three, it's just cleaner, and you can get creative up here, right? You can get some of the clips and tuck it in, or wrap it with some sort of tubing and wrap it up straight. Whatever. Got some OCD people out there. That's cool. You know, do whatever you want to do there. But that's the benefits of the hot wire, is you get a little bit of extra features in it, and it's not as messy, because once we're done with this fuse box, you will not see the wiring. It's going to be tucked in, clean, and it's just going to work when you turn your car on, or it will have the monitoring mode when you turn your car off. Alright, so here we go. Got our wire hanging out. So the hardest time you guys are going to have here is when you read through these instructions, right? It talks about what comes in the kit and all that. But the most confusing part about this, and it talks about where it goes, is the red wire versus the yellow wire, right? So you've got 3 wires. Black is your ground. Black is the easiest. I'm going to connect him right there because it's connected to a piece of metal that's grounded to the car. So I'm going to unscrew this, I'm going to slide in the ground, and I'm going to tighten it. Easy. The red and the yellow, those are a little bit more complicated because you have to hook it up correctly. So one, it says the red wire attaches to the ACC power. only provides power when the car is on. So a good example of that would be my power outlet or my cigarette lighter. Those power, you know, if you guys know this, but you can't charge stuff off your phone, at least in most cars, off of this outlet when the car's off. It does not provide power when the car's off. So this would be a great red wire right here, power outlet or cigarette lighter. And if you have a multimeter, you're going to have to probably check, right? Multimeters are cheap. Go to Harbor Freight, buy one for like 10 bucks. All right, so red wire, one of these two. So you just look down here, and this is organized in the manner that your fuse box is, right? So you would want to take a look at this display here and then orient it to where your fuse box is. So in my case, it looks like this, right? So then the bottom matches the top, at least in orientation. So that I know my power outlet is the bottom left one. See how this is blank too? You see in my fuse box right there? It's also blank, right? So that matches. So it's also 15 amp. This says 15 amp. So I'm going to pull that first 15 amp guy out of there. I would recommend you use something that's a little bit more like a 15 amp for that. So I'm going to use the 15 amp for that. And then the yellow wire attaches the constant power fuse slot. So I need something that needs constant power. So based on experience, like the door lock, right? You can unlock and lock your doors when your car's not on. So I would use the door lock on that one. So red wire is going to the power outlet and the yellow wire is going to the door lock. And then from that point on, it's pretty self-explanatory. The only other thing you're going to run into is orientation. So the orientation matters because there is a input. You're actually drawing power from this fuse. This is the whole purpose of plugging it into the fuse box, is to give our dash cam power. And so we're going to need to plug it in the correct orientation. So I'll go ahead and show you guys that. And if you guys ever need like additional information on this video right here, really? This video right here is going to show you like the ins and the outs of that. So go ahead and watch that video. Yeah, go ahead and watch that video if you want more explanation on it. But basically what I'm going to do here is I got my multimeter and I figured out which side was the power. It's the bottom because I plug up the red to the bottom and the black to the top, and it gives me a reading. So I plugged it in there. So what I'm going to do is I know that the bottom has the power, so I'm going to go ahead and grab this fuse right here. I'm going to pull it out. Alright, so I just pulled out the fuse. It is no longer in that second slot. So now we got to figure out what type of fuse this is, because all cars are different. Fuses can go in either direction, it doesn't matter. They're designed to be either direction. The fuse itself doesn't matter. What matters is this guy, because we're pulling power from the fuse. So I just got to find which one matches. That's why they give you so many, right? Which one matches the fuse. So let me go ahead and look at that. So they're going to give you two of each. They give you two big ones, two medium ones, and then two small ones. So mine's the medium, so I took the two medium out. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put two of these fuses in there. So this guy goes on the top and the other one goes on the bottom. And I'll go ahead and show you how to do that. Alright, so pulling out the manual, right? You can kind of see which fuse yours looks like. This comes with the kit. So mine looks like the bottom one there. So I took the bottom, which is a microfuse cable. And I'm going to plug, just like it shows there, I'm going to plug the... It shows it being yellow, but mine are particularly pink that came with the kit. Yours may be the purple, they may be the yellow, but you take the pink or the yellow, right, the one that comes with the kit, and you put it in that bottom slot, and you take the fuse that comes out of your car and put it in this top slot. So that, you know, your car still runs off this fuse, but then it pulls power. The device pulls its own power from its own fuse here, so I'll show that. Alright, so you just literally squeeze them in there. So they're both inside, and now I just plug this into the car. So in my case, I believe it's going to be like this, but hey, you know, if it's not, then you just turn it around. It's really not that big a deal, guys. So I'm just going to go ahead and plug this guy. Alright, I'm going to plug him in. Just like that. Okay, and then I'm going to hook up the red wire to this. And then I'm going to pull this plastic over it and protect it. You know, I don't heat shrink it personally, I just pull it over. And I'm going to do the same thing with the yellow wire. And we'll go from there.